Fasting, it just depends on whether we're talking about intermittent fasting or extended fasting. Like you said, dry fasting, wet fasting. Some people do like a fat fast or an egg fast, or some of these kinds of concepts. So intermittent fasting is something that I do regularly. That's where you have time restricted feeding. You have a window in which you can eat. So I typically eat between like 10 and 6, like 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. I try and eat during that daylight window, per Sachin Panda's data on circadian rhythm. I feel like that makes the most sense in terms of the endocrine cascade and just the neuroendocrine impact, like with neurotransmitters and just everything that happens with the sleep-wake cycle, the circadian rhythm. Everything is a waterfall, one thing affecting another thing, affecting another thing. That's the whole cascade idea. So it's really important that we maintain as much of a circadian rhythm as we can and not have disruptors to that. So I like eating during that daylight window. That's been important to me. And then extended fasts, I do those probably once a month. I will do like a 3-day fast. And that is something where I typically don't do a dry fast. I understand that, but I think that's something that you need to work up to. You would have to kind of train your body with vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone, to be optimal in that scenario. It's not something like with all these things, it's not ideal to just jump into them. Like if you've never done intermittent fasting, I recommend doing a 12 and 12. Or I just recommend cutting out snacks. Start there. Don't just jump in and then get overwhelmed and say it doesn't work. Psychologically, that's not ideal. There's the idea of allostatic load, where it's essentially your stress bucket, and there's an ideal amount of stress that's called 𝐸 stress, and then there's a not ideal type of stress on the other side of that bell curve that's distress. And then there's the Goldilocks zone in the middle, where it's the ideal amount of stress and the ideal amount of adaptation. There's that idea called hormesis, where that ideal stress is causing ideal adaptation. But, we can be overwhelmed. Our body, it may become distress. Something that could be a eustress for some people could be a distress for others. Your allostatic load, your stress bucket, might be too small right now, where it just quickly overflows. And you may have other things going on, where some things that may be positive stresses normally, like fasting, keto, red light, cold plunges, hot saunas, these could be positive stresses, hormetic stresses, sure. But if you just lost your job, if you have COVID, if you haven't been getting enough sleep, if you just got a divorce, they could end up being distresses. So, be kind to your body and be kind to your mind, and like try and take on these things in steps. So that's where, doing like maybe starting with, hey, I'm going to get rid of snacks. Then I'm going to go to a 12 and 12. Then I'm going to do, 14 and 10. Then I'm going to do a 16 and 8. Then maybe I do a 20 and 4 as far as like eating window and time restricted feeding. And then I'm going to do 24 hours of an extended fast. And, maybe I do every other day fasting, I try that. And then, then I do a 3-day fast. Then maybe I can explore wet fast and doing a dry fast, but it like, I wouldn't just rush into these things. And it will help if you're fat adapted and you're ketogenically, at least like metabolically flexible. You don't need to be like a full ketogenic diet, but if you're metabolically flexible, it will most certainly make a transition into fasting a lot easier.